Unless you've been living under a rock, there has been a gear drought, guys. Not for me, but for most of you watching this. It's been really hard to get Primo, Masteron, probably Anavar as well, because a lot of the binding, or I shouldn't say a lot of, there's a binding ingredient in fentanyl that is also found in a lot of these compounds. Now, this video is going to be all about what are the good substitutes if you can't run Primo and Mast. But also, this video is going to be about just spreading awareness that if you're getting a shortage with Primo, Mast, and Anavar, expect Winstrol to be next, expect Proviron to be next, and expect this problem to persist if you don't have good sourcing. Because I don't see the crackdown on fentanyl ending at any point in time. And again, there's no fentanyl in these drugs, but there's a binding ingredient that is found in these drugs, so they're getting confiscated, seized overseas, and all that shit. So now, what good substitutes are there? DHB, EQ, and now you can also go with Proviron. Proviron's still out there, Proviron's still available, Superdrol. Okay, but now we're gonna get into Winstrol. Now there's a time and place to throw these at. But where I like for my bases, for my oils, we're really just gonna focus on EQ and DHB. And I'm gonna really go hard on the DHB topic, as in that is the best alternative. It's a poor man's Primo. For this video, I would say it's the new Primo, if you can't get real Primo. DHB is gonna hit the liver. DHB is a dry, good compound. It's called 1-testosterone, but it has no function of testosterone in it. Really good endurance. And some people say it has fat burning properties. I'll just say this, I believe since it's so good for endurance, it makes the fat loss much better. I believe that since it has some anti-estrogenic properties, it's drying, you just put it as you would look at Primo or Masteron or Winstrol, which I'll talk about next, where you just feel like you're burning a lot more fat, but really it's just, there's less water. And when you have less water day in and day out, you feel like it's just less fat. But a lot of people are mistaking fat intake for their current body weight for being fat, when really they're just holding too much water. And usually a lot of old school coaches will tell you the other way. You think it's the water? It's because you're fat. It's usually the water. Water retention is, for carb sensitive physiques like mine, is a really big deal. Okay, so these type of compounds, I love Primo and Mast, and I don't have an issue sourcing this, but many people do, and if I had that issue, I would go DHB. And I call it a poor man's Primo because you can't run it as long, you can't run it as high. If you have bad DHB, or it's not mixed properly, but it's still potent, you'll have really, really bad pip. I will cry. I have cried before. Not like, oh my God, but like literally like pin and then just like go writhing on my bed and just like tears are coming out of my eyes. So from a really bad post-injection shot with DHB. So make sure that wherever you're sourcing it from, they properly make it. It's properly brewed and it's not harsh. Okay, and EQ, that's what I'm gonna be running. I haven't ran EQ since I was 23. I'm gonna be running it thoroughly here for my next stack. And EQ is, again, on the dry side, anti-estrogenic. Takes a while for it to kick in. Mega doses, macro doses are given to horses to win races. So right then and there, you'll understand it's very good for endurance, better than DHB, better than any steroid in the endurance category. Let me verify my brain. Yeah, EQ. And you also, a lot of people say this, so I don't want to be, preaching too many things that are obvious, but you want to make sure you're checking your CBC panels, which is your red blood cell count, your hemoglobin, all that stuff, hemoglobin, your fucking hematocrit, all that stuff. And make sure you're donating on EQ, because your cardio is going to go through the roof. You're never going to get tired. When it actually kicks in, if you're an anxious guy or anxious girl, you will become more anxious if you're not burning the calories and doing the workouts and all that stuff. So those two compounds for a base is going to be your new Primo. Now, what's going to be your new Masteron? Winstrol, Proviron. But there could be issues with getting those drugs very shortly as well, just because if I'm looking at supply and demand, if these two things are the hardest to get, what's the next thing that's going to be the hardest to get? It's the ones that substitute those things. Okay, so but right now they're available. So Winstrol is great. It's definitely harsh on the liver. I think Winstrol is the harshest. And 50 milligrams of Winstrol is much harsher on the liver than 10 milligrams of Super, 10 milligrams of Halo. I don't even think Halo is liver toxic, but maybe it is at 20 or 30. But and Anadrol at 50 versus Halo at 50. Versus Winstrol at 50. Winstrol is much more toxic. Don't believe me? Run it for 5 weeks. Let me know what you think. But in terms of getting the dry, vascular, hard muscle, winning. Same thing with Proviron. And Proviron is going to be easier on your prostate. If you were to Google Proviron versus Masteron, it'll say Proviron's actually harder on your prostate. Totally false, but Masteron, it can be if you're running your Masteron at 1 to 200 mgs, but if you're running your Mas like at competition levels, 4, 5, 600 mgs, and you're doing that for 10 plus weeks, you know, it's not the easiest thing on your prostate. The easiest way to tell is if you take a piss and then afterwards you got a leaky dick. Been there, done that. But now when I run my Mas, I go 200-300 mgs. You know, if I was ever having a problem getting Mas, I'd go Proviron. I'd go 50 mgs a day pre-workout. I'd probably even take it on my off days, because if I'm trying to have that dry look, especially for a show, there is no off day, right? So those two are your best substitute. You can say, oh, Anavar, 100 mgs of Anavar. No, it doesn't compare. You need something that's that next step up for drying and for hardening and vascularity and all that shit. But just make sure when you're running your DHB, when you're running your Winstrals, when you're running your, not so much your Provirons, but your Winstrals and DHB, you're looking at your CBC panels, your lipid panels. It's 11 o'clock at night right now. Your lipid panels and your liver panels, your comprehensive metabolic, AST and your ALT. Okay, so DHB is a harsher compound in the body, but man, it hits. It's not toxic like a high amount of Tren would be or something like that. And then Winstrol is a grinder. Winstrol 50 mgs, 4, 5, 6 weeks. I promise you, run your bloods before you take Winstrol, run it right after. Or right when you're like about to end it. You will see what I mean. Those will be your substitutes.